Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. Welcome to Facebook Live. This is a new series that I'm going to be doing once a month about different topics of interest to running a really smart service business. Of course, at AssistU, we train virtual assistants, but the stuff that I'm going to be talking about really pertains to any kind of service business. So I'm really excited to be here. Hey, Kelly, how are you? So you know how it feels when clients and work are coming at you from all directions and you think, if one more thing happens today, I'm going to explode. And of course, the one more thing always shows up and you don't explode, but it pushes you so hard that you know that you're no longer in the right place. You're no longer in a good place to do the work or to feel good about what you're doing in your own life, right? Does anybody feel that same way? Give me a little love or something if you do so that I know. Yeah, I feel you because it happens to me occasionally. I'm much, much better at this than I used to be. There was a time when I would let anybody push me, and I had to learn that really that was a decision I was making to not take care of myself in business. And so that's really what we're going to be talking about today, taking good care of yourself in your business. So for those who don't know me, I'm Anastasia Bryce, founder of AssistU. And for nearly 20 years, we've supported women in creating beautiful virtual assistance businesses where they can have high quality lives and love what they do. And it's been a tremendous ride, and I'm so happy to be such a part of this organization. So today we're going to be talking about the overs, what I call the overs. So that's overwhelm and overcommitment and overworking and being overtired or over anxious or overextended. You get it. We're going to, all of those horrible overs and how you keep yourself far away from them. And I'm going to share some ideas, I think about maybe 5 tips, and hopefully send you back into your day with ideas that will help you. Lots of people are talking about what to do when you're already overwhelmed or in an over. Here's what you do if you're overwhelmed. Go take a walk. Go put yourself in someplace quiet. Do a grounding exercise. There's lots of information about that. But I really think that the smart thing to do is learn how to not go there to begin with. And that's really what I want to talk about. Okay, so first, can you type a comment and let me know how often you find yourself in some over place, whether that's overwhelm or overtired or over anxious or over something? Hi, Laura. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me see if I can help with some of this. So I'm going to start with an unlikely metaphor for this. Imagine that you're doing laundry. And imagine that you've got a big load of towels that you're taking out of your dryer. And imagine that you ask somebody who lives with you to come take the towels out and put them in your arms so you can carry them into the bedroom where you're going to fold them before you put them away. And the person is piling the towels in your arms, and you're starting to go like this and tucking them under your chin and stretching your arms out as far as they can go so you can accommodate more. And at some point, you realize that if she puts another towel on that pile in your arms, something's gonna give. Either a towel's gonna fall off the top, fall through the bottom. You can't hold it all anymore. You know that that's going to happen. I'm pretty sure most of us have had that experience or something very similar to it. And the thing about it is, right at that moment when you go, I can't hold another towel because this is all gonna fall off, that's the moment right before you're overloaded. That's the moment right before there's an over. And if you're smart, of course, you stop having towels loaded in your arms and you take them into the bedroom, put them on the bed and come back and get more. But we don't often do that in life or work. I'm not sure really why we don't, but we don't. We say yes too many times. We crunch one more thing into our day. We multitask. Or if we're already multitaskers, we multitask more, as if we need to just get so much more into every second of our day, or I don't know what we think is going to happen, but this is what we do. And of course, scientists have proven that multitasking is just stupid. We don't apply what we know about laundry to everything else, and we don't manage our capacity. And that's an important word to remember. I said that I was going to tell you the most important thing to learn about managing the overs, and that word is capacity. Your capacity is the moment, the place, right when you realize that you are about to be full. Like you can't take another thing. You can't take another towel. That moment is your capacity. It's the place where you're still holding everything together, but really just barely. And it's also the place right before you get to an over, overloaded, overwhelmed, whatever the over is in that case. So here's a little hand gesture. Sorry to make it kind of looks funny going like this coming at you, but this is your capacity wall. It's as far as you can go. So you're walking through your life, everything's doing well. You're holding everything together. You're getting closer. People are pushing. People are asking you for one more thing. You're getting closer, closer. And then you get there. And the thing about the capacity wall is it does not move. It is not bendable. It doesn't bend to accommodate more. It is solid. You get to the place where you can't hold anymore. And if you add anything else, if anybody else asks you to do something, you say yes to any other thing, what happens is you go over. You go over to overwhelm, overextended, over anxious, over tired, over whatever. This is the furthest you can go before you hit the overs. And the reason it keeps important is because if you are aware of your capacity in every situation and you commit to honoring it, you can never get to overwhelm. I said there are a lot of people who tell you what to do once you're here. I want you to stay on this side of your wall. So yeah, over. That's a nice one, Aim. I love that one. So you know where your capacity is. People say this to me all the time. They're like, I don't know where the capacity is. That's only because you're not used to paying attention to it. You know where it is. You feel it in your body. Intuitively, you sense that you've reached a limit, and that limit is your capacity. So capacity, a max number of whatever, max number of towels you can hold, a max number of clients you can work with, a max number of hours you can make yourself available. You get the idea. So tip number 1, figure out where your capacity is, commit to honoring it, and say no to the things that you know are going to take you further than you need to be. That's tip number 1. But even better is tip number 2. This is so funny. I turned off notifications and I'm still getting them. Welcome to Facebook Live. Even better is tip number 2, which is once you get used to honoring your capacity, create an even higher standard for yourself. You know, I'm the girl who says your standards can always be higher. So once you're used to this, making sure that you don't cross over this capacity, create a new standard for yourself that moves your wall back further. So this is your new capacity, over notified. Amy, I'm gonna kiss your face when I see you next time. Anyway, so you create a new capacity that is further back. This is your new capacity. And so you back away from what you know is your real capacity. This is like the real limit. You create a new one that is further back. And you make that the capacity wall that you honor. You stay on this side of it. And in that way, I wish I had another hand, but the space between the two, right in there, is a reserve of space. And if you only take yourself to the new capacity wall, you'll never feel pinned. You'll never feel that push. And you will never, ever have a way of getting overwhelmed. You can't get there from here. Use my nose. This space right in here. Yeah, that one. So as an example, if your work hours are 9 a.m. to 4, let's say that's what you've decided. but you reach your capacity for dealing with people by 3 o'clock. You are like so done. You don't want another person talking to you or asking you for anything. You might consider making your public facing hours, meaning what people think you're really doing, your availability. You might consider making your public hours 9 to 2. That will free you from having to check your mail after 2 o'clock or take calls or look at Slack or do anything that puts you in the path of other people. And it removes you from your limit before you get to your limit. Then you can do your last 2 hours of work in silence, in mad productivity, and you'll feel great because you've taken yourself out before you got to your limit. People have asked me, well, why can't I be as productive if I just go up to my 3 o'clock limit? And maybe you can, but remember, at capacity, when you get here, you start to feel pushed. You start to feel the strain, the pinch. So why not give yourself some extra room? Why not say yes to yourself, yes to some ease, yes to some spaciousness, rather than trying to make yourself more available to saying yes to someone else? So let me pause that and check in with you on that. Will you let me know why if you do, why you might say yes to others more than you say yes to creating space for yourself? I'm curious about that. Yes to ease, yes to spaciousness. Hi, Corinne. Yes to yes. So now you're going to say yes to all the good things. I love this. It's a very good question, right, Cynthia, isn't it? It's something, maybe you've never thought of it. Jude, you feel responsibility to clients. Yeah. Don't want to disappoint them. Disappoint yourself easier than someone else. Yeah. Responsible, don't want to disappoint. Everyone seems more important. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. One of the things that I hear often is that putting the brakes on is so hard because you want to be of service. I mean, let's face it, we're all in service businesses, right? That's something that we love. There's a reason we're not running a retail store. We love helping other people through whatever our particular skill set and our gifts are and things like that. So if a client needs something, you genuinely want to serve as well as you can and make things happen for her. And so it's hard to stop, to say no when something extra shows up and needs to be taken care of. Over responsibility. Yeah. The problem is when you push yourself beyond what you can manage, you stress the whole system. That's what's really, really going on. Not just yourself, you're stressing the entire system. You risk more than you probably should. So a few reasons why it's important to minimize the risk associated with the overs. Overs, as I just said, they stress the system and they're stressful in general. And stress, as we know, is, it comes with all sorts of crappy stuff, right? I mean, and there's physical, emotional, mental, there's even spiritual stress that happens when we overextend ourselves over. Stress is damaging to you. It can lead to actual physical illness, like adrenal fatigue, kidney damage. Saying yes more than you should can lead to kidney damage. How crazy is that? But people do it. We do it all the time. It also can lead to burnout, mental burnout, physical burnout. It can make it really difficult to get out of bed in the morning. You can want to throw in the towel and say, why the heck am I doing this? Yes, I almost said that. Why the heck am I doing this? Why bother? Why bother? This is crazy. It can lead to resentment. That's another one. That's a really difficult psychological burnout kind of thing, the resentment that you feel. And the overs also make you less able to do good work. You guys talked about disappointment, right? You don't want to disappoint. But when you're overwhelmed or overextended, or when you're in and over, the truth is that you're not, I said this before, you're not in the best place to do your best work. You're just not. You're stretched too thin. And so what can often happen is your work product, the thing that you stayed late to do or extended yourself to do or whatever, the thing that you create, the work product, can be less than your best. It can be less than even good. And you end up disappointing the person with your work product rather than risking disappointing by telling the truth, which is, sorry, can't do this. And I call that disappointing by being afraid to disappoint. You end up in the same place. Somebody's disappointed. The difference is you've injured yourself in the process. So, and it is entirely possible that if you have done the work and the work is substandard, especially if it's work that's going out to, say, a client's clients, and you've now made a mistake, it's actually a bigger disappointment and a bigger drain on the whole system, yourself, your client, your relationship with your client, than it would have been if you'd said to your client, I cannot do this today. Or you had just not been available when the client called or, tried to hit you up on Slack or whatever. So tip number 3, this is maybe my favorite tip on the planet. There's always tomorrow to get the stuff done that you can't get done today. And if there isn't tomorrow, then nobody's going to care that the stuff that you didn't get done today didn't get done. So, got that? Always tomorrow. And so now we're going to go into something a little deeper, a little more intimate. A reminder that I'd love to have you write down for yourself and maybe keep somewhere to remind yourself of what's going on. Reaching an over is always an act of martyring yourself. So the way you might write that is, reaching an over is always an act of martyring myself. I'll say it one more time. Reaching an over is always an act of martyring myself. So martyring, let's talk about martyring. Martyring is the flip side of the victim coin. There are always 2 sides to every coin, and the victim coin has 2, victim, martyr. When you're victimized, someone has done something to you that you've really had no say in. When you're playing the martyr, you victimize yourself. You are doing it to yourself. And honey, I gotta tell you, there is nothing worse than victimizing yourself. Nothing. You do that when you sacrifice yourself for someone else. And truly, unless you're, I say this all the time, I say it a little stronger than I'm gonna say it right now, but really, here's what I say. Unless you're the mother to a child that you are legally responsible for, there is not a person on the planet that deserves your sacrifice. In your life, there is not a person on the planet that is more important in your life than you should be. And it isn't good for yourself, but it also isn't good for your business. And real businesses, they don't do it. I say it that way because while we all know, you guys all know that you're running real businesses, but there are times when you don't behave like that. You behave like you're, I don't know what, like you're somebody's employee, really, is what you're doing. But you think about that, think about that real businesses don't do this. You know that because if you stopped and thought about any business, say in your town, like, I don't know, your nearest grocery store, big grocery store, you'd know that you couldn't, for example, walk into your grocery store, pick up 4 dozen eggs, walk over to the manager and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go home. I'm not sure how much of this I'm going to use. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to use what I use. And when I figure that out in about a week, I'm going to bring the rest back and then I'll pay you for what I actually used. Okay? Never in the history of ever is that going to be okay with the grocery store. Likewise, you can't, be wherever you are, need to pick something up before you go home and realize that you can't get there before the store closes and call up the manager and say, hey, listen, I need to get some stuff, but I can't get there by the time you close. I'm going to be about 2 hours late, but stay open for me, okay? No, it's not okay. So take a, I can't even think of the word that I'm looking for. Take a look. Okay, we'll use that. Take a look at the fact that other businesses don't do it. And you still shop there. You shop there, they're closed. You don't beat on the door. You don't ask for exceptions. You don't do that stuff. So don't let people do it to you. Don't give it to them. They don't deserve it. You can love them. They can be your favorite clients of all time. The other thing is that and this is just for you guys, just an extra, this is actually like bonus tip number 1, because I've got another bonus tip that I'm going to give you at the end. When you don't extend, when you don't harm yourself, sacrifice yourself for someone else, you model something good for the client, for the world. And we need more people that are modeling, not sacrificing themselves. We absolutely need that. Okay, so tip number 4. I said in the description for this Facebook Live that I was going to teach you the word you needed to keep in mind, which you now know is capacity. And I said that the word wasn't going to be no. And so tip number 4, for better or for worse, is say no more often. Or at least say, not today. I can't do this today, but I can do it for you by Thursday at 11. So that you stop ahead of your capacity. Put yourself first so that you can ultimately do a better job for the person that you're actually trying to support. Capacity. And tip number 5. One really smart way, some of you already know this because you know me, one really smart way to help you put the brakes on is by managing expectations, and doing that by creating only explicit agreements. So if you're new to me and you don't know what an explicit agreement is, I said before that you might say, I can't do this today, but I can do it for you by Thursday at 11. That is an explicit agreement by a specific date and time. Implicit agreement would be, I can't do that today, but I'll get to it later this week. The problem with implicit agreements is that they are just a petri dish, breeding ground for misunderstanding. Because I'll get to it later this week is literally from 1 second from now till 11:59 Saturday night as it's getting ready to turn into Sunday. And what your client thinks is later this week is probably not going to match up with what you meant when you said later this week. And so then you can get into all sorts of trouble. So 11:50, I can get it by 11 o'clock on Thursday is explicit. You can put it on a calendar, you can plot it, you can plan your activities to lead up to it to make sure that you get it done and delivered by that time. And it reduces the level of stress. So it's cleaner to be explicit. Everyone knows exactly what to expect. So there you go, your 5, plus you already had the 1 bonus tip. And I'm going to give you another bonus tip. But first, let me give you a little alert. This tip includes some not safe for work language. So if you're at home and nobody's around and you're all good with that, that's cool. If people are around, you don't want them to hear me when I say what I say, you might want to turn your volume down, put in your earbuds, do whatever to make me quiet. Or you can trust that when I let my freak flag fly, it's all going to be good in the end and just listen. Your choice. So here we go. I find that a lot of people struggle with capacity and spend a lot of time with the overs because they worry too much about how they're going to look to others. It isn't that they personally can't step back. It's that they don't want to look bad. They don't want to disappoint. It's about the other. It's not about themselves. They worry if they say no, especially people who own their own service businesses, They worry if they say no, maybe the client's going to leave. They worry if they say no to a friend, the friend might not be their friend anymore. They're worried about how it looks. Oh, does this make me a bad person? And they actually have learned over time. So many of us have learned this lesson. So don't think I'm pointing a finger at you like you're doing something out of the norm. Learn to care more about how they look to others than how it hurts inside their own lives and bodies when they honor everyone else first. So enter a perfect book to help with that. I think it should be required reading for every high school senior, probably juniors too. And certainly for anyone considering work in a service industry. It's called, dun, da, da, The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving a Fuck. Yeah. And when I bought it, I thought it was going to be a comedic parody on the beautiful book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. But instead, it's genuinely foundational about how to make yourself important to yourself and how to stop giving away your time, energy, and fundamental goodness to people and situations you don't give a fuck about. It teaches you to make a fuck budget, which I think is hysterical. It takes you through going through all the stuff, the clutter that's in your brain, and figuring out, and all the kinds of requests you get from people in your life and in your work. And it asks you to actually sit down and consider what you give a fuck about and what you don't. And the reason I think it's so powerful is we've all heard this concept couched very gently. You know, when I say no to more things, I have more time to say yes to the things that matter to me, right? We hear that, but it doesn't really carry any oomph. But when you figure out what you don't give a fuck about, it helps you make space for the things you do give a fuck about. That adds some oomph to it. Because let's face it, if you decide you don't give a fuck about something, that thing's got to go. That thing just has to go. When I was doing this earlier, I said, that thing's got to go. Like, I don't give a fuck. I had a box in my hand. I said, like, I don't give a fuck about this box. And I threw it like that. Okay, I threw the book, but I do give a fuck about that book because it is an awesome, awesome book. So if you spend your time focused on figuring out what you want to spend your fuck budget on, because you can't imagine, by the way, that you have unlimited fucks to give, can you? You do not. Your life and your work will change. And if you stay away from your capacity, your life and your work will change. So my bonus tip, buy the book, read the book, do the work in the book, fix your capacity issues, and say goodbye to the overs. So this is something I could talk about for hours. I really, really could, but I want to stop here for now. If you have thoughts or questions, I will be checking the comments through the end of next week explicitly. That would be through, say, Friday, whatever that date is, the 17th at 5 p.m. I will check comments. I will answer every question asked about this. So please ask. If you know people that might benefit from this, please share the video with them. Or if it's easier for you to do it, just tag them in a comment so that they see it. I would love that. I would love to help someone else think through this, especially if they don't give a fuck about hearing the word fuck a few times. So to wrap up is, let me give you the tips again. So number one, figure out where your capacity is. Commit to honoring it and saying no to more than that. Tip number one. Tip number two, when you get used to honoring this level of capacity, back yourself up, create a new capacity, and give yourself the space that Cynthia told me to use my nose to show you, and create a higher standard. And so you're backing away from your capacity even more. Number three, there's always tomorrow to get the stuff done that didn't get done today. And if tomorrow never comes, nobody's going to, give a fuck that your stuff didn't get done. Tip number four, say no more often, or at least make explicit agreements about when things will be done so that you can manage your capacity. Put yourself first so you can do a better job for others. And that's the thing. Bonus tip, buy the book, do the work. The most important word is capacity, and remind yourself of this. Reaching an over is always an act of martyring myself. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me. I've had big fun, and I hope you have too. If you have, again, please share the video. And the other thing, just as an aside, I'm going to be doing this every month, and I've got a lot of great ideas about what I can talk about. But I really care about what you want to hear from me about. So if you want to leave me a comment with an idea or 5, whatever works, please do that. And I am so grateful that you've joined me today to make this is my first Facebook Live. And I've had a great time. And I will talk to you guys later. Later, Gators. Bye. Have a great day.